Chapter 4168. The corners of Yu Yu's mouth curled up, a bloodthirsty and cold light flashing in her eyes, but the voice that came out of her mouth was even softer and sweeter. Fine. Since you want to die so badly, I'll kill you. As soon as she finished speaking, the petite girl's figure had already disappeared. Heliange's gaze hardened, his hands slightly spread apart, his entire body as still as a boulder. The dark green light around him suddenly exploded. Boom. With a loud sound, Heliange took a few steps back, his body swaying, a few traces of blood flowing from the corners of his mouth. The petite girl in front of him slowly landed, looking at him with an icy expression. The immortal slaying square was dead silent. Everyone stared at the scene with their eyes wide open. Lord Yu had won this battle? Wasn't that to be expected? Lord Yu was a peak demon master while Heliange was only a level 7 demon master. But in the next moment Heliange burst into a burst of wild laughter. Lord Yu, what's wrong with you? The demonic energy hasn't dissipated, and you don't have the usual sharpness and killing intent? The attacks that hit my body are like tickles. It won't be so easy to kill me with just this. Yu frowned slightly at him, saying in a low voice, "Your cultivation has already broken through to level 8 demon master." She was using a statement. The surrounding demons in the Immortal Massacre City all gasped when they heard this. Especially those male demons who were going to participate in the marriage selection, they were even more fearful and hesitant, wondering if they should admit defeat in advance if their opponent was Heliange. Level 8 Demon Master. He was only one step away from the strength of the 3 blood demon captains. Moreover, Heliange was so ferocious and even knew some remarkable techniques that demons didn't know. Who could compete with such an opponent for the position of Emperor's son-in-law? Heliange wiped the blood from the corners of his mouth as he walked towards Yu, his face full of arrogance. Lord Yu has good eyesight. Not bad, my demon core has already broken through to level 8 demon master, and I'm only a small bottleneck away from level 9 demon master. But logically, even a level 9 demon master should have a big gap with you, Lord Yu. But from the looks of it, Lord Yu isn't as strong as I thought? Don't tell me he's injured? Yu sneered. So the banquet was arranged by Helian Guanyu. But it wasn't for himself but for his precious son. The Helian family is really not bad. They even know how to use the human spirit cultivator's scheming methods. Hearing this, Heliange narrowed his eyes as the smile on his lips deepened. Yan was indeed Guan Yu's trusted subordinate, but Heliange was the one who arranged for him to be by Yu's side. He wanted the noble status of the princess's son-in-law, and he also wanted the Gorfine team to have real power. One day the entire submerged abyss would belong to him, Heliange. He would become the supreme demon lord. If he wanted to ascend to the position of the demon lord, Yu would be his biggest obstacle. Yan's soul lamp suddenly went out, but Yu appeared in the Immortal Massacre City. Heliange thought that his plan had failed. That was why he disregarded everything and tried to investigate in public. He was overjoyed to find out what he was looking for. Yu was injured, and it was not a light injury. If he wanted to get rid of her, these few days in the Immortal Massacre City would be the best opportunity. On the other hand, the skilled and bold Heliange did not even wait to return home to report to his father that Guan Yu had sent an assassin. He wanted to severely injure Yu in public. Chapter 4169. He couldn't wait for all the demons to see. He, Heliange, was the strongest among the younger generation of demons, the only choice for the princess's husband. Heliange waved his finger and pulled Yun Ruhan, who was bound by demonic silk, in front of him. Lady Yu, I don't want this dog anymore. But I don't like him. Today I'll end his dog life. Yu shouted, "You dare." She instantly moved forward, her body emitting a thick bloody aura. The immortal slaughtering plaza was instantly engulfed by strong winds. But Heliange was not afraid at all. Instead, he laughed even more happily and excitedly. Yu was fighting by burning her demonic core. This meant that she was truly at the end of her tether. Apart from expending her own cultivation, there was no other way. And this useless demonic soldier next to him was probably Yu's new pet. She was willing to sacrifice herself to save him. Haha, the heavens are really helping me today. Seeing Yu charge over in a bloody mist, Heliange quickly controlled Yun Ruhan to block in front of him. At the same time, a blood-red dagger appeared in his hand. This dagger was coated with a poison that could corrode demonic cores. If Yu Yu was touched by it, her injuries would worsen and she would no longer be able to resist. With Yu Yu's cultivation, she shouldn't have been injured so easily. But who asked her to worry about this demonic pet? With her mind in a mess, it was easy for her to fall for it. Even if she didn't fall for it, watching her beloved demonic pet die in front of her was enough to make her lose her mind and reveal a flaw. Yun Ruhen looked at Heliange with a smug smile and couldn't help but frown. You don't come over. I don't need you to save me. Yu Yu replied in a slightly hoarse but resolute voice. I'm the master. You can't decide whether I need to be saved or not. Yun Ruhen's heart sank. Looking at the wounds on the girl's body, he couldn't help but feel heartache. He made up his mind. The remaining spirit qi in his body churned in his dantian. But in the next moment, a dazzling white light flashed across the immortal slaughtering plaza, almost blinding everyone. The sword light whizzed past Yun Ruhen, directly cutting through the black demonic aura around his body. Then it suddenly turned into a flying sword and carried him in a circle in the air. Finally, it slowly landed beside a young man. Yun Ruhen's eyes widened when he saw the youth's appearance. He was overjoyed. Junior, brother, is it really you? Because she sees that Mayan is dressed in men's clothing, she forcibly swallows back the words that are on the tip of her tongue, and changes it to little junior brother. Mu Yen couldn't help but be overjoyed. She pulled Yun Ruhen's hand and examined his body. After making sure that he wasn't injured or left with any sequelae, and that his cultivation had broken through to the profound immortal realm, he revealed a brilliant smile. Eldest senior brother, why are you here? You've been here all this time. Why didn't you come to find me? Mayan remembers that she's been wandering alone in the underworld all this time. She can't help but feel sad when she thinks of her junior martial uncle. She can't help but worry when she thinks of her fellow apprentices, Di Mingju and Xiao Bao. Her words unconsciously carry a bit of grievance. To her, the disciples of the Xiaoyao sect were her real family. She was able to open her heart and trust him wholeheartedly. Chapter 4170. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is suddenly unable to find this site today. It's just that. Junior martial brother, why are you participating in the Devil Race Princess's marriage selection? Have you ever thought about how dangerous this could be? Have you thought about how this will end? Only the heavens knew that when he saw that his junior sister wanted to be the prince consort of the demon race's princess, his soul almost flew out of his body. Not to mention whether or not she would get hurt in the competition, just the fact that she was a woman disguised as a man would be exposed. What could he do in the demon race's territory? With the Qianyuan enveloped by the barrier, they didn't even have a place to escape. Mayan touches her nose and quickly changes the subject. Eldest brother, this bastard dares to bully you, I'll teach him a lesson for you. The disciples of the Xiaoyao sect loved to cause trouble, so they had been taught a lesson by their eldest martial brother. Every time their eldest senior brother asked them to keep a low profile, they always had no chance to do so. Moreover, every time he stirred up trouble, he was often caught red-handed by eldest senior brother. Then the eldest senior brother would start a lecture mode that would make their hair stand on end. Whenever Mu Yen thought of that scene, coupled with the fact that 4th senior sister, 5th senior brother and 7th senior brother weren't with her, and all the firepower was focused on her, she felt apprehensive. After speaking, she immediately walked towards Helian Zhua and sneered, "Didn't Brother Helian want to find someone to fight? Why did they take advantage of the injured Yue? If you want to fight, how about I accompany you?" At this moment Helian Zhua's face was so gloomy that it could drip water. He looked coldly at Mu Yen and said sternly, "Who do you think you are? Are you even worthy to fight with me?" As soon as he finished speaking, someone in the crowd screamed, "Yi Liangchen! Is this Yi Liangchen? He was so handsome. He's 100 times more handsome than Helian Zhua. I can't take it anymore. I'm going to switch sides. I'm going to support Demon King Yi Liangchen." Oh, I've long heard that Demon King Yi has been assigned to our immortal slaughter city. I was wondering when I would be able to see his graceful bearing. I didn't expect to see him so soon. Yap Liangchen? Who is it? Could it be that he's even more powerful and charming than Helian Zhua? Idiot. Have you not been to Tianguang ruins recently? You don't know what the 3 rankings mean, do you? Demon King Yi is currently publicly recognized as the strongest expert of the younger generation. Not to mention us in the hidden abyss, Even the polar domain and the nether realm recognize him. Understood. Bah, the fights in the Tianguang ruins are just child's play. How can it be compared to a real fight? I still think that Wolf King Helianjua is more powerful. The onlookers of the devil race started to quarrel. Helianjua found it hard to believe that the demon race that supported him and the demon race that supported Yi Liangchen were actually evenly matched. He was a country bumpkin from a low-level main city, a poor youth without any family background. He actually wants to be on equal footing with me? Why? Helianjua was furious, but he didn't show it on his face. He grinned evilly and said, "So you are Yap Liangchen? What?" He wanted to curry favor with Lady Yue just to become the princess's son-in-law? Is a kid like you who hasn't even grown hair worthy of Her Highness the Princess? Mu Yan sneered, the 7 absolute sword in her hand slightly slanted. She said indifferently, "Let's not talk about whether or not I'm currying favor with Lady Yue, but I thought that our devil race pursues upright and upright, where the strong are respected. Turns out that's not the case. Like Brother Helion who likes to take advantage of people's difficulties and scheme. You clearly know that Lady Yue is injured, but you still insist on making a move at this time." Chapter 4171. You clearly know that Lord Yue is injured, yet you insist on making a move at this time. A level 8 demon lord taking a demon soldier as a hostage. Even the most despicable and shameless spirit cultivator wouldn't do such a shameless thing, right? I'm guessing that if Her Royal Highness recruited someone like you as her son-in-law, she would be too embarrassed to bring you out, right? Helianjua's eyes suddenly condensed with thick killing intent. But the angrier he got, the brighter the smile on his face. "Yi Liangzhen, have you thought it through? Fight with me on the magic crystal platform and you'll at least have a chance to live. Provoking me now will cost you your life." As he spoke, the pressure of a level 8 demon lord was suddenly released. The immortal slaughtering square that was still chattering noisily just a moment ago instantly went silent. All the demons retreated, their faces revealing a horrified expression. Yu Ying and Night Spirit were so anxious that they were about to cry. Not caring whether she would offend the Helion family, Yu Ying hurriedly rushed out, forcing herself to calm down. "Young Master Helion, the Demon Lord has stipulated that all the demons participating in the marriage selection are not allowed to kill each other except in the competition. Young Master Helion, please reconsider." Helianjua narrowed his eyes, his figure suddenly swayed and disappeared on the spot. Yu Ying's eyes suddenly widened. Because in the next moment Helianjua had already appeared in front of her. Sharp and cold demonic claws mercilessly clawed at her heart. There was her magic core. Yu Ying had a premonition that this time her magic core would be directly crushed and she would die. But at this time her whole body was stiff and she didn't even have the strength to move. Mu Yan turned around and saw this scene, her eyes cold. Her footsteps changed and her figure gradually turned into a shadow. However, there was one person who moved faster than her. Smack. Smack, 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 smack. A series of crisp sounds stunned everyone on the immortal slaying square. Helianjua's body suddenly flew out. As soon as he landed, he suddenly stood up with a carp flip. A pair of tiger eyes were completely red, containing disbelief, anger, and killing intent as he looked forward. Not far away, a young and beautiful girl was swinging her hand, revealing a disdainful expression. "Your face is so oily. My hands are all dirty now." Helianjua let out an earth-shattering roar. You dare hit me." Yu tilted her head slightly and looked at him with a faint smile. "Not only do I dare to hit you, I also dare to kill you. Do you believe me?" The veins on Helianjua's forehead popped out, and his hands that were clenched into fists emitted cracking sounds. Clearly he was furious. "Yu, do you really think I'm afraid of you? Do you really think I can't kill you?" Helianjua's entire body began to emit a dense black aura, and a long black blade condensed in his palm. Everyone could see the viciousness and killing intent in his eyes. Yu's brows furrowed imperceptibly. Her face was still smiling, but her entire body tensed up. She could sense that the pressure and aura emanating from Helianjua's body was definitely above the 8th level of Demon Master. This person had hidden himself very deeply. The battle was about to begin. However, at this time an old man hurriedly ran to Helianjua's side, and lowered his voice to whisper in his ear. "Young Master, Master asked me to inform you not to act rashly. The most important thing now is for you to become the final candidate for the princess son-in-law and participate in the heavenly enchantment banquet a month later. Chapter 4172. Heliange's eyes are crimson, revealing an ominous glint. The old man trembles in fear. He whispers a few more words and his pupils slowly return to brown. The long blade in his hand disappears and he coldly snorts at Yu. Yu, I'll remember these slaps. One day I'll make you pay back 10-fold, 100-fold. And you. He turns to look at Mayan, his eyes deep and cold. Yi Liangchen, you better pray that you don't meet me so soon so that you can live a little longer. After saying this, Heliange turns and leaves, disappearing in a few steps. Mayan is used to this kind of clamor and doesn't take it to heart. She turns to look at Yu and then at Big Brother. Coughing lightly, she tries her best to speak in a calm tone. Big Brother, what's the relationship between you and Lord Yue? However, her sparkling eyes, full of interest, betray her gossipy nature. Yun Ruhen glares at her, then says, "It was Lord Yue who saved my life. Even though she brought him back as a magical pet." Mayan wants to ask again, but she swallows her words after looking at Yu, smiling. "Big Brother, let's talk about it after we return to the inn." Saying that, she gives Yun Ruhen a look, indicating for him to support Yu. As soon as she enters the room, Yu spits out a mouthful of blood. She was seriously injured in the Yunyang Immortal Mansion, and she didn't have the patience to stay in a place to recuperate, so her injuries haven't fully healed. Today, fighting with Heliange made her injuries even worse. Just now, because she was in front of others, she kept holding on. It was also because Mayan saw her injuries that she hinted for them to return to the inn. Yu. Yun Ruhen is startled and quickly hugs her. "You're injured so badly?" She's injured so badly, but she still refuses to properly adjust her breathing, and wants to go to the Slaughtering Immortals Square to watch the fun. Yun Ruhen simply doesn't know what to say about this willful little witch. Yu glares at him, her voice is indignant but righteous. "Why do you care about me? If I didn't go, would you have met your little brother? Now that you have little brother, you don't have to care about me. Are you happy?" Yun Ruhen didn't understand why this little demoness would suddenly get angry. He simply looks at Mayan. "Junior. Brother, can you cure Yu's injury?" Mu Yen smiled and said, "Of course I can, but we have rules in the Xiaoyao sect. I can't treat anyone who isn't a member of the Xiaoyao sect." "Big Brother, do you think Lady Yue is an insider of our Xiaoyao school?" Yun Ruhen, since when did the Xiaoyao school have such a rule? He gave his junior sister a warning look. "Don't mess around. Quick, check her injuries." Mu Yen couldn't help but laugh. She wondered if the Xiaoyao school would have another sister-in-law. However, the disciples of the Xiaoyao sect were naturally afraid of Yun Ruhen. After being glared at, she didn't dare cause any more trouble. He quickly went to check on Yu's injuries. Yu was indeed severely injured. After speaking to Yun Ruhen, he fainted. Because she can't take out the Tian Mo Qin, Mayan can't use her healing technique right now. Therefore, the only way was to use pills to alleviate the injury. Fortunately, she had refined a lot of magic pills before. Mu Yen fed all of them to Yu. After a while, the effect of the pills took effect. The magic nucleus in Yu's body began to rotate rapidly, and her injury recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. Mu Yen breathed a sigh of relief. It was good that it was effective. Chapter 4173. At the side, Night Spirit and Yu Ying are already dumbfounded. They know that the cultivation elixir Yi Liangchen refines is of the highest quality, and it's hard to find one nowadays. But they didn't expect that she can also refine elixirs that can heal magic core injuries. What kind of monster is this guy? On the contrary, Yun Ruhen is already used to his little junior sister's omnipotence. The two finally reunited after a narrow escape from death. There are too many things to talk about. After sending Night Spirit and Yu Ying away, Mu Yen tells everything that happened after Yun Ruhen and the others faked their deaths. Hearing that little master died in front of them, Yun Ruhen says loudly, "Impossible. Even we can survive, little master won't die so easily." His tone is resolute, but his voice is trembling and his hands are clenched tightly. It's enough to show how panicked he is. Mu Yen takes a deep breath and says hoarsely, "That's why I disguised myself as a man and participated in the demon princess's marriage selection. Because there is a marriage contract between the demon princess and little master, The other party of the marriage contract may know whether Little Master is still alive or not. Yun Ruhen's eyes widened slightly. Little Master has a marriage contract with the demon princess? Mu Yen nods. And that demon princess seems to be Little Master's sweetheart. Although this sweetheart is really not good. Little Master's life or death is still unknown, and the whole world is already choosing a son-in-law. Thinking that even Di Mingju also came to the heavenly enchantment banquet, she wants to grind her teeth. Yun Ruhen looks at Mu Yen with a strange expression. He remembers the scene he saw with Little Third in the Xiuzhen continent. Does Little Master really like a nuisance demon princess? It should be. Yun Ruhen calms down and puts that distant scene out of his mind. Little junior sister, what can I help you with? Mu Yen takes out a lot of elixirs and mabe from her storage ring and says with a smile. Eldest senior brother, what you need the most right now is to improve your demon strength as soon as possible. In this hidden abyss, there is no spiritual power or immortal power, only demonic energy. This is the best opportunity for you to cultivate your demon body and forge a demon core. You have a true half-demon and half-spirit body, so there will be no conflict between spiritual and demonic cultivation. But if the two cannot reach a balance, I'm afraid you will never be able to master divine power in this life. Yun Ruhen. Others were still working hard to improve their immortal and devil chi, but his little junior sister already looked down on immortal and devil chi, and wanted him to cultivate godly power. Very good, this is very junior sister. Yun Ruhen solemnly received the things and then reached out to gently rub Mu Yan's head, his voice soft. It's been hard on you during this period of time. If there's anything in the future, eldest brother will help you shoulder it together. I have a premonition that little martial uncle is definitely still alive. Mayan's eyes redden all of a sudden. During this period of time her performance had been very normal. She participated in the marriage contest, went through the rankings in Tianguang ruins, and cultivated step by step to improve her strength. But every time she closed her eyes, she would see the scene on the floating island that shattered her soul. In order not to implicate them, youngest martial uncle cut off his own heart and died in front of her. As for her, she could do nothing but watch helplessly. Just like back then, she could only watch helplessly as her master was burned to ashes by the flames. She was more eager than ever to improve her strength. Not only did she want to make herself stronger, but she also wanted the people around her to become stronger so that no one could hurt her anymore. Chapter 4174. She didn't want to see anyone die in front of her like little martial uncle. Mu Yen smiled, stared at Yun Ruhen and said in a hoarse voice, "Then senior brother, please become strong enough that no one will take you away from me. Strong enough that our Xiaoyao sect is invincible and unstoppable." Yun Ruhen's heart ached and nodded. "Okay, I promise you." He looked at the thing in his hand and slowly clenched his fists. He had to be stronger. He didn't want to be a burden to little sister and third brother. He didn't want little sister to face life and death alone one day. Mu Yen always felt that the dark lowly Yu was interested in her senior brother. But what she didn't expect was that when she woke up the next morning, she saw the girl lying on the bed side by side with her. Mu Yen was startled and quickly sat up from the bed. Yu's giggling laughter came to her ears. "Little Qinchin, why are you so afraid? We're both women, what else can I do to you?" Mu Yan's mouth twitched. Was I seen through? But it wasn't surprising to be seen through. Yu's strength was very strong. Before in Red Star City, because the situation was tense and the two were far apart most of the time, they weren't noticed. Last night Mu Yen treated her injuries and the two were very close. Finally, Yu woke up and stared at her for a while. At that time Mu Yen guessed that her disguise as a man had been seen through. "Ha ha ha, a girl like you actually dares to participate in the election of the demon princess, ha. Little Qinchin, you are so interesting. The more I look at you, the more I like you." The girl's little hand reached out to her face. Mu Yen dodged sideways and said with a smile that was not a smile, "Lord Yue, do you fancy me or my eldest senior brother? If you want to be my sister-in-law, just say it." The teasing expression on Yu's face froze and then she frowned bitterly. "Am I so obvious? Could it be that I'm so horny when I look at that little magic pet that even you, little Qinchin, can tell?" "Puff, little magic pet." Mu Yen coughed lightly and said, "So, you really want to be my sister-in-law?" Yu straightened her small chest. "What? Am I not qualified?" Mayan stifled a laugh and said, Enough. But according to the rules of our Xiaoyao school, You have to marry into our family. Whether I marry into his family or not, we'll talk about it after I seduce him. Yu waved her little hand and said boldly, after I get him into bed with me, if his skills are good enough to satisfy me, I'll consider marrying into your Xiaoyao school. It's not impossible. Cough cough cough. Lady Yue, what kind of nonsense are you spouting? Mayan's face flushes red and after a long while she chokes out, then you can do your best. Yu did not know what it meant to cheer for Yi Liangchen, but she was sure that Yi Liangchen was not her rival in love. Yu was in a good mood. But before that, I have to go back to the Demon Blood Guards. It's time to settle some scores with that old dog Guan Yu. Ahem, before I leave, I came to find you to remind you of something. He was definitely not here to investigate his rival in love. Chapter 4175. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is unable to find us today. Dear readers, please remember our domain name, Book Ocean Pavilion, and find your way home. Mu Yan was stunned. Although she didn't have much contact with Yu, she could tell that this black-bellied loli was an arrogant and willful person. For Yu to say, I'll retreat immediately if I can't take it anymore. It was clear that Heliange's strength was far greater than what he appeared to be on the surface. Mu Yan nodded and said, thank you. There's no need to thank me. After all, I was drooling over you too. Yu suddenly leaned in and kissed her on the cheek. Then she giggled and disappeared from the room. Mu Yan touched her face and was speechless. She felt that the Xiaoyao sect would be in a mess in the future with such a sister-in-law. Night Spirit and Yu Ying had been on tenterhooks because of the enmity with Heliange. They were afraid that Mu Yan would meet Heliange in the upcoming matches. But luckily Mu Yan's next opponents weren't strong. She advanced smoothly all the way. Her reputation and prestige in the immortal slaying city grew day by day. At the final stage of the competition, her popularity was almost on par with Heliange's. On the 14th day of the immortal slaying city's marriage selection, only Mu Yan, Heliange, and 2 other level 7 demon masters had not been eliminated. In the immortal slaying city's city lord's residence, the city lord was kneeling in front of a young man with a respectful expression. Lord Tianhe, I didn't expect you to personally come to the immortal slaying city. It's our honor. Alright, enough with the pleasantries. Tianhe waved his hand and said impatiently, bring me to the immortal slaying square and find a quiet place for me to watch the competition. Damn it, if not for the fact that I don't want to embarrass myself at the heavenly enchantment banquet, I wouldn't have come to watch these brats. The city lord of the immortal slaying city chuckled dryly and hurriedly led the way. Tianhe asked as he walked, oh right, which 4 brats from your immortal slaying city made it to the finals? The city lord wiped the sweat off his forehead and answered, they are Helian Jue Yi Liangchen Xiong Shu and Rui Wu. Had the little wolf cub from the Helian family that your father was really nominated. Have a good eye. Yap Liangchen? Sounded familiar. Was he the pretty boy that Xue Jiayi was obsessed with recently? Hey, how did you get assigned to me? If I get eliminated here, Xue Ji won't come looking for me, right? As Tianhe muttered to himself, the city lord brought him to a room suspended in the air above the immortal massacre square. Sir, do you think this place will do? Tianhe waved his hand and threw demonic aroma fruit into his mouth. At the same time he looked down in boredom. The match hadn't even started yet, but he was already feeling drowsy. He yawned and said to the immortal slaying city lord, I'm going to take a nap. Wake me up when they're done. The city lord's mouth twitched and he was about to agree. Something on Tianhe's waist suddenly lit up. He let out a blood-curdling scream and jumped up. While complaining that it was hot, he hurriedly took out a magic crystal from his waist. After injecting demonic energy into the magic crystal, Min Wei's face immediately appeared in front of him. Tianhe felt his skin tighten and he hurriedly said, Elder Min Wei, what are you doing? Is the sacred item of the demon race for you to use like this? My skin was almost scalded by the holy flame demon fire. Min Wei smiled sinisterly and said, the other 3 have already sent over the live feed of the match. What are you doing? Chapter 4176. Don't tell me you found a place to sleep in? Do you believe that when you come back I will peel off your entire skin instead of scald it off? The corner of Tianhe's mouth twitched. After a while he laughed dryly, the competition hasn't started yet. Why are you in such a hurry? Alright, I will send you a video, alright? After saying that, he reluctantly took out a black stone and placed it on the windowsill in front of him. As Tianhe continued to pour in demonic qi, the black stone began to rotate left and right, emitting a faint light. The immortal Massacre City Lord was surprised. "Sir, is this the magic mirage stone that can transmit images and sounds in real time?" Tianhe nodded listlessly and yawned again. The magic mirage stone was not an ordinary mirage stone. In terms of magic treasures, it was already at the level of a divine monarch equipment. But the magic mirage stone had a weakness. It needed a steady stream of pure demonic qi to be activated. Otherwise, the transmission would be cut off. Tianhe originally wanted to sleep until the end of the competition, but now that he was being watched by Elder Minwei, he could forget about it. Forget it. Although it was boring to watch a few whelps fight back and forth. However, he had no choice but to reluctantly take a look. Tianhe yawned again and looked down at the plaza. However, this glance caused his expression to change slightly. His expression became heavy for the first time. The final round of the 4-star main city was a 4-person competition. However, the competition format was no longer one-on-one, but a 4-person mixed battle. The one who could stand until the end on the magic crystal platform would be the champion of the immortal Massacre City. Logically speaking, Tianhe had only taken a nap earlier. The competition below could be said to have started not long ago. However, at this moment, there were only 2 people left on the magic crystal platform. Helianjue and Yi Liangchen. And no matter which one of them emitted demonic qi, it was pure and powerful. Even Tianhe, who was high above, could feel it. This seems interesting. I know that the little whelps of the Helian family are capable. I didn't expect that the pretty boy that Xue Ji favors would also exceed my expectations. On the magic crystal platform on the Immortal Massacre Plaza, Helianjue took out a snow-white handkerchief and gently wiped his fingers. His hands had just pierced through Xiangshu's chest. His fingertips were emitting flames, burning Xiangshu's internal organs into nothingness. But at this moment his fingers were clean. After the snow-white handkerchief was removed, it was still spotless. When the Rui shaman witnessed this scene from below, he felt his heart tremble and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. He was glad that the one who chose him was Yi Liangchen and not Helianjue. Although he could not withstand more than a few moves from Yi Liangchen, at least Yi Liangchen did not kill him. He managed to survive. On the other hand, Xiangshu would likely need at least 3 to 5 years to recover from his injuries. At this moment, the Rui shaman looked worriedly at the youth on the magic crystal platform. Although Yi Liangchen was very strong, it was impossible for him to win against Helianjue. He could only hope that this brat would grow some brains and admit defeat as soon as possible. That way he would at least be able to retreat unscathed. On the magic crystal platform, after Helianjue finished wiping his hands, he chuckled at Mu Yan. "What? I've given you a chance to live, but you don't want to grab it?" Chapter 4177. Due to unknown reasons, this site is suddenly unavailable on Sogu today. Mu Yan couldn't be bothered with him. Seeing Yun Ruhan watching the battle below, she waved at Night Spirit and Yu Ying, indicating that they didn't have to worry. Below, Night Spirit and Yu Ying's expressions changed drastically as they instinctively shouted, "Be careful!" Mu Yan's expression remained unchanged. She took a step forward and her figure suddenly disappeared on the spot. However, her sharp fingernails still brushed past her neck, cutting off a strand of her hair. Helianjue stood where she was just now, his lips curling into an excited and bloodthirsty arc. "I didn't expect you to be able to dodge this attack. You do have some ability after all. This is good. It's been a long time since I've tasted the thrill of defeating a strong cultivator and then torturing him." Mu Yan's gaze focused. She raised her left hand and the second 7 absolute sword appeared. Her figure moved like a phantom and appeared in front of Helianjue in the blink of an eye. Swimming Dragon Double Slash. A dazzling silver sword light streaked across and pierced through Helianjue's body. Cries of surprise came from the magic crystal platform. However, the next moment Helianjue's figure slowly dissipated like water ripples. It was just an illusion. Night Spirit revealed a regretful expression as he waved his fists. "I thought that Liangchen would win so easily." Yu Ying also felt that it was a pity. Yi Liangchen's attack was unexpected and as fast as lightning. She knew that she definitely wouldn't be able to dodge it if it were her. If Helianjue were to die under this sword, then Yi Liangchen would easily become the leader of the group. Only Yun Ruhan's expression turned a little solemn. That was because he realized that Heliange's strength far exceeded his imagination. Perhaps he wasn't weaker than his junior sister. On the magic crystal platform, Heliange's figure slowly appeared. He looked at Mu Yan and said with a faint smile, "That move just now was not bad. However, it seemed more like a spirit cultivator's sword technique." "Hee, I haven't seen a spirit cultivator's sword technique in a long time since someone used demonic chi. It's impolite not to reciprocate. Then have a taste of this move of mine." Before he finished speaking, Heliange's figure suddenly rose into the air. His body seemed to have expanded dozens of times in an instant. However, his movements were still extremely nimble. The way he spreads his arms in the air is like an eagle, but also like a flood dragon swooping towards Mayan. Mu Yan's heart shuddered. Her divine sense moved, and the 7 despair swords appeared in the air, intertwining to form a sword net. The 7 absolute sword in her hand stabbed towards the weakest part of Heliange's demonic chi without hesitation. Puchi. The 7 absolute sword effortlessly pierced through Heliange's body. But Mu Yan's complexion has changed. "Ha, Yap Liangchen, taste my whirling dragon phantom kill." A sharp whistling sound rang in her ears, almost piercing her eardrums. In the blink of an eye, Mu Yan felt as if his eyes were covered in bright red, and his mind was buzzing. She lost her sense of hearing and sight. The most frightening thing was that when she released her divine sense, it was blocked by a powerful force. Mu Yan's mind shudders and she quickly retrieves the 7 absolute swords. At the same time he cast Astral Domain as fast as he could. Bang! A deafening sound swept up the entire immortal slaying square. All the demons watching the battle were forced to retreat again and again. The magic crystal platform, which was supposed to be incomparably hard, actually had pieces of shattered crystals splattering. After a long time the violent wind stopped and the dust settled. Only then did everyone see the situation on the magic crystal platform clearly. They saw Heliange and Mu Yan standing at opposite ends. He wanted to establish his own force with the Helian family as the center. Once he obtained the Blood Demon Commander-in-Chief's token, his strength would continue to break through in the future, and even the position of the Demon Venerable might be his. Apart from marrying the mysterious and unfathomable demon princess, he was also participating in the betrothal selection. Another very important reason was that he could take the opportunity to convince the spectating devil race, making them willingly offer their devil souls and become his followers. However, Heliange did not expect that Yi Liangchen would appear out of nowhere. From the 1-star main city to the 4-star main city, his performance in every match was stunning and eye-catching. In addition, he unified the 3 lists in the Tianguang ruins, greatly boosting the demon race's prestige in front of the spirit cultivators. As a result, more and more demon race madly worshipped this handsome and immature youth. The people of the 4-star main city could only participate in the matches of the 4-star main city. Chapter 4179. A person from a 4-star main city can only participate in a 4-star main city tournament. Heliange never had a chance to perform before. Yi Liangchen, on the other hand, came all the way from a 1-star main city. Many demons who are loyal to him even spent a large amount of mobe to follow him to a 4-star main city. During this period of time, Heliange wants to use ruthless methods to show his strength and bravery. But the rumors in the Immortal Massacre City are like, who said that demons must be ruthless? Do you really like it that much when someone pierces your stomach and pulls out your intestines? I still think that Demon King Yi is better. If he can fight, then fight. There's no need to blindly compete. Even after the tournament, there are more people who directly offer their demon souls and swear allegiance to Yi Liangchen than him. Heliange originally made up his mind to ruthlessly humiliate Yi Liangchen in the finals, so that he no longer has the strength to compete with him. Who knew that in the battle he would discover that this person is the same as him, a child of a heaven-raised demon. And Heliange didn't expect that announcing the news that Yi Liangchen was a spirit cultivator would actually give him a pleasant surprise. Yi Liangchen, if I didn't guess wrong, this should be your alias, right? Otherwise, how could I have never heard of you among the spirit cultivators? Heliange's gaze is sharp and contains ridicule. You hid your identity, changed your name, sneaked into my demon race and even tried to marry the princess. What are you planning? Mayan sneered. Helianjua, did you come to this magic crystal stage today to fight with me, or to pry into other people's gossip like a gossipy woman? What does my identity, name and origin have to do with you? Even if you want to investigate me, wait until I go to the Demon Imperial City. The Demon Lord will naturally investigate. Is it your turn to blindly compete? If you want to fight, then fight. If you don't, then get lost. The Immortal Massacre Plaza is quiet for a moment. Then someone bursts out in laughter. Following that, laughter and whispers rise and fall. I like Great Demon King Ye's temperament of fighting at the slightest disagreement. Damn it, Lousy hates human spirit cultivators beating around the bush and scheming. Just now that Helianjua was beating around the bush, Lousy didn't understand what he meant. It's still Demon King Ye's and mine. It's just a martial arts competition, what's the point of blindly competing? If you want to fight, then fight. If you don't want to fight, then get lost. The sounds of mocking laughter and discussion entered Helianjua's ears, causing his face to turn ashen. He takes a deep breath, his gaze on Mu Yen becoming even colder and more tyrannical, but his voice is extremely low, only Mu Yen can hear it. I didn't expect you to have this ability to be able to train this group of stupid demons into docile obedience as obedient as dogs. I originally wanted to spare your life, but unfortunately, Helianjua's voice became softer and softer and his figure quickly disappeared. In the next moment he suddenly appeared beside Mu Yan's ears. That will shatter the spirit roots and bones in your body bit by bit, and burn your magic core bit by bit. At that time I want to see what other methods you can use to bewitch the devil race. The corner of Mu Yan's mouth slightly hooked up. Her figure didn't even move, but she lowered her eyes and said slowly, "Is that so? Let's see who will break whose bones." She suddenly turned around and grabbed the sharp claws that Helianjua was grabbing at her. The claws that she grabbed with her bare hands pierced into her flesh. The poison spread and a burning pain spread throughout her body. But Mu Yen didn't even blink. She raised her hands and grabbed Helianjua's shoulders, making him unable to move. Chapter 4180. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is unable to find this site today. The 7 absolute swords were already waiting in the air, forming a sword net that whistled down. Helianjua's pupils suddenly contracted. Puff! Fresh blood splattered everywhere and broken limbs flew everywhere. Helianjua rolled on the ground a few times, leaving behind bloodstains and broken limbs. Finally he stopped beside the magic crystal platform. Everyone was stunned by this scene. Helianjua lost? He lost to Yi Liangchen so easily? They hadn't even recovered from the shock of knowing that Yi Liangchen was the child of a heaven-raised demon. How did Helianjua lose? Mu Yen slowly breathed out and threw away the broken hand in her hand. In fact, that attack just now wasn't easy for her. Helianjua's claw just now directly pierced through her abdomen, causing her internal organs to be seriously injured. If not for the fact that she was in the abyss right now, there was enough demonic energy to continuously stimulate the magic core to heal her injuries. She probably wouldn't be able to stand now. Moreover, Helianjua's claw was highly toxic, and it had already invaded her body. She had never refined a poison of this level and she couldn't cure it even if she wanted to. Under the corrosion of the poison, the meridians and flesh in her body were on fire, and the pain was unbearable. Her mind gradually became chaotic and she almost couldn't stand steadily. Others couldn't see Mu Yan's condition, but Yun Ruhen could. He walked a few steps to the magic crystal platform, and anxiously waited for the host to announce the results of the competition. However, at this moment a sudden change occurred. Yun Ruhen only felt a strong suction coming from the void. The magic core in his body began to rotate violently, and became boiling hot in an instant. And the demonic energy in his body seemed to be forcibly sucked away by something. Ugh! Yun Ruhen let out a muffled groan and slowly knelt down while holding the position of the magic core. And the others in the immortal slaughtering square were in the same situation as him. My demonic energy, who is devouring my demonic energy? It hurts, my magic core is so hot I can't take it anymore. Screams rose and fell in the square. One after another the demons knelt down and their bodies curled up into a ball. The devil chi in their bodies seemed to be absorbed by something, and then it surged towards the magic crystal platform. Han He, who was watching this scene from a private room high above, raised his eyes and revealed a surprised expression. It turned out to be the Thousand Nights ghost hand. I didn't expect that the wolf cub of the Hellion family would know such an obscure and vicious demon race cultivation technique. He's powerful, but he's a little too cunning. His mind is as dark as that bunch of spirit cultivators. To think that I thought so highly of him back then. Heavenly River. The dignified voice of Elder Min Wei came from the magic mirage stone. What now? I was just complaining. Don't tell me you're going to meddle in this as well? Shut up. Min Wei spoke in a deep voice. You go down for me. Use the magic mirage stone to take a closer look at that kid called Yi Liangchen's face. Tianhe muttered. Isn't he just a gigolo? What was there to see? Don't tell me you're also infatuated with this kind of thing like Shui Jiai? Tiske, don't, you're already so old. The veins on Min Wei's forehead throbbed as he looked at Tianhe with a sinister gaze. Just as Tianhe's hair stood on end and he was about to say some soft words. He saw Min Wei sneer and then move his body to the side, revealing the figure of the person behind him. The one who wants to see a gigolo is not me but Lord Demon Lord. Tianhe. Chapter 4181. Was it too late for him to swallow back what he had just said? The Lord of Immortal Slaying City had already knelt on the ground and said, Long live the Demon Lord. Tianhe swallowed his saliva and stood up from his seat. He grabbed the magic mirage stone by the window and was about to fly down. The instant Milky Way made his move, the situation on the magic crystal platform changed drastically once again. Hellion Zhua, who had been cut into pieces by Mu Yan's 7 absolute swords, stood up unscathed. He was holding a black flag in each of his hands. As he waved the flag, a steady stream of demonic energy gathered on his body from the immortal slaying square, causing his strength to increase at a speed visible to the naked eye. Demon Lord 7th stage, Demon Lord 8th stage, Demon Lord 9th stage, Demon Lord peak. Mu Yan's expression became more and more serious. She bit the tip of her tongue and used the pain to force her consciousness not to be eroded by the poison. Turning around, she saw that the square that was rubbing shoulders with each other just now had a large number of people lying on the ground. Even Yun Ruhen, Yu Ying and Night Spirit had fallen to the ground with painful expressions. Night Spirit, who had a low cultivation base, had already fainted, his body twitching violently. It could be imagined that if the demonic energy in her body continued to be extracted, her demon core would not be able to withstand it and collapse. At that time even her life would not be spared. Yi Liangchen, I originally did not intend to use this move in Immortal Slaying City. I really did not expect that you could actually force me to this step. Hellion Zhua's tone was light and breezy with arrogance and pride. But in fact his mood was far from calm. The young man in front of him was far beyond his imagination. A child of a demon raised by the heavens like him, a spirit cultivator turned into a demon cultivator like him. But Yi Liangchen was younger than him by more than 100 years, yet his strength was already so strong. If he was given a little more time, thinking of this, Hellion Zhua's heart was boiling with killing intent. He must completely kill this powerful competitor so that there would never be a day for him to rise again. Hellion Zhua raised the black flag in his hand and gently waved it twice in the air. In a split second, a sharp sound rang in the sky again. A thick red mist wraps around Mayan. Her hearing and vision were sealed once again, and her divine sense could not be extended. What was even more terrifying was that this time, it wasn't just a short moment. Mu Yan's whole body suddenly tightened, and cold sweat oozed from the palm of her hand that was holding the 7 absolute sword. The next moment, a sharp pain came from his shoulder. She abruptly turned around and swung her sword, but she did not manage to cut anything. Yi Liangchen, stop struggling. It's useless. Amidst the shrill whistling, Hellion Zhua's voice poured directly into her mind, bringing with it a bloodthirsty and tyrannical killing intent. Even if I will be punished for violating the rules of the betrothal selection, I will definitely not allow you to live. Oh, that's right. There's also Yu and her magical pet. I remember that lowly and useless magical pet. He's your senior brother, right? Don't worry, they will join you soon. Puff. The long sword pierced through Mu Yan's chest, causing her to be unable to hold on any longer and kneel on the ground. Fresh blood dyed her clothes red and spread out on the magic crystal platform. The voice that had disappeared earlier began to enter his ears intermittently. pain, struggle, fear, despair. Those were the cries of the demons on the immortal slaughtering square. Chapter 4182. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is suddenly unable to find this site today. So even if Helianjui used such a vicious method, as long as he did not violate the rules of the competition, no one would stop the competition. However, those demons who were implicated were innocent. Some of them had traveled thousands of miles from other main cities to support her. Some had already offered their demon souls and pledged their loyalty to her, willing to live and die with her. In Tianguang ruins, these demons unconditionally believed in her and supported her. Not to mention there was Night Spirit Yu Ying and her eldest senior brother. Even if one didn't die from such a crude extraction of demonic energy, their cultivation would greatly regress, leaving behind unforgettable sequelae. What right did Helianjui have? Did he think that he could decide the life and death of others as he pleased just because he was strong and used people like chess pieces? Mu Yan's eyes gradually turned crimson, and a cold and disdainful smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. Fine. The strong are respected, right? Then let's see who is the true strong one. The magic core in her body began to revolve wildly. Previously, when Helianjui used Thousand Nights' ghost hands to absorb the surrounding demonic energy, only Mu Yan's demonic energy was firmly condensed around the magic core, not moving at all. It was as if Helianjui's magic core was much lower than hers, so he wasn't qualified to absorb her demonic energy? But now, Mu Yan released the demonic energy in her body without reservation. Once the demonic energy was released, it was not under Mu Yan's control. A large portion of it was swallowed by Helianjui's black flag. Helianjui couldn't help but laugh. Yi Liangchen, are you seeking death? But soon he couldn't laugh anymore. Because the demonic energy that Mu Yan released was becoming more and more pure and thick. In just a short moment, the demonic energy that pervaded the surroundings was even more than what Helianjui had absorbed previously. In the sky, there was a faint moving sound of a zither. As the sound of the zither sounded, the demonic energy that pervaded the magic crystal platform no longer gathered on Helianjui's body. Instead, as if it was being gently controlled by a hand, it surged towards the already collapsed people on the immortal massacre square. Helianjui's face was full of shock as he looked in disbelief at the youth with long hair and clothes fluttering in the wind. His voice was actually trembling. Who are you? Why is it that a 5th-level devil master like you can actually use divine power? Yes, divine power. What Mu Yan releases is a devil chi as majestic as the sea. However, what was truly used to control the demonic chi to contend against Helianjui and feed it back to the demons in the immortal slaughtering city was divine power. At this moment, the devil energy that Mayan is frantically releasing finally breaks through the space of the Tian Emochin. It also breaks through the Tian Emochin space's imprisonment seal on devil chi. Neo martial arts skill, Limitless Demon Dao, activated. At the same time, all the Shin musician skills can be activated with demonic energy. On the immortal slaying square, the people who were in so much pain that they wished they were dead felt a wave of pure and thick demonic chi enter their bodies. Accompanied by the melodious sound of the zither, the magic cores in their bodies began to recover. This strand of demonic chi was completely different from their original demonic chi, but after it entered their bodies, not only did their demon cores not reject it, they even happily accepted it. In just a short period of time, their bodies had recovered to their original state, and their cultivation had even increased slightly. No one knew what was happening. They stood up in confusion and looked at the stage. Then they saw an unforgettable scene. On top of the magic crystal platform, 3 people appeared. One was Helianjui, whose face was filled with shock and amazement. One was Yi Liangchen, who was coldly standing with the 7 absolute sword in his hand. And the last one. Chapter 4183. Her sleeves fluttered, her fine black hair fluttered. Her slender hands plucked the strings of the zither, producing melodious music. It was that music that sent demonic energy into their bodies, restoring them to their original state. The simulated dazzling sunlight of the immortal slaughtering city fell on the youth's face, illuminating his incomparably handsome appearance. And that appearance was almost exactly the same as Yi Liangchen. No. That's not right either. The youth in midair had even more exquisite facial features, and his skin was even more jade-like. He was clearly dressed as a man, but people almost mistook him for a devastatingly beautiful woman. What was going on? How could there be two Yiliangchen? Only Yun Ruhen let out a long sigh, feeling relieved. Because he recognized that it was the Shin musician's skill. Heavy phantom. And the difference in strength between the junior sister with the Tian Mo Chin and the junior sister without the zither was like heaven and earth. Helianjua had no chance of winning. On the magic crystal platform for the first time, fear and horror appeared on Helianjua's face. He waved the black flag in his hand with all his might, wanting to snatch the demonic energy from Mu Yen. But as the melodious music resounded, his hand that was waving the flag became heavier and heavier. His whole body seemed to be bound by something, unable to move. But the magic core in his body was spinning faster and faster, even becoming hotter and hotter. It wasn't just his demonic energy that was being taken away, even his magic core was being consumed little by little. If this continued, he wouldn't just lose, but his cultivation would directly drop by a large realm. Helianjua was shocked and afraid. His heart was filled with resentment and unwillingness, but he had no choice but to compromise. Losing the competition was better than losing his cultivation or even his life. He gritted his teeth and raised his voice. I admit defeat. As his voice fell, the magic crystal platform emitted a burst of light. The man who was floating in the air stopped playing and slowly descended to the ground. He merged with Yap Liangqin, who was on the ground. Mu Yen disliked Helianjua very much. But since it was a competition, she had to follow the rules of the competition. Since the other party admitted defeat, she had no interest in killing him. The immortal slaughtering square fell into a strange silence. After a moment, there was a burst of earth-shattering cheers and discussions. Helianjua admitted defeat. He actually admitted defeat so quickly and so cowardly. So what if I don't admit defeat? Just now you all saw it too. He didn't even have the strength to retaliate when facing Great Demon King Yi. Helianjua was the one who extracted the demonic chi from our bodies just now. Now we deserve to lose. What is that zither in Demon King Ye's hands? Why do I feel that the more I listen, the purer and more comfortable the devil chi in my body is? Me too. What are you guys talking about? The leader of our immortal slaying city is here. Everyone shouted out. Who is it? Demon King Yi. Long live Demon King Yi. Helianjua stared at the youth in front of him, his fingernails digging into his flesh, fresh blood dripping down from the gaps between his fingers. How could he lose? He shouldn't have lost. Yap Liangqin, who the hell are you? Mu Yen doesn't even pay attention to him. She goes straight to the host of the competition and takes the transmission token. However, at this moment, a cry of surprise came from behind her. Watch out! Helianjua, what are you doing? Mu Yan's heart skipped a beat. She suddenly turned around and saw that Helianjua's figure had already soared into the sky. Holding a long sword, he transformed into a black stream of light and pounced towards Yun Ruhan. Chapter 4184. She took a step forward, activating Lotus Steps. Her figure disappeared like a phantom, pouncing towards Helianjua. Puchi. The long sword pierced through his heart, stopping Helianjua's movements. Mu Yen looked coldly at his crazed expression, her voice sounding like it came from the yellow springs of hell, carrying an eerie chill. Helianjua, you're courting death. Just as she finished speaking, a ball of fire sprang up on the 7 absolute sword, spreading to the entire blade. Helianjua immediately let out a wretched scream, desperately trying to escape. However, it was as if the sword had grown into his flesh and blood, and he was unable to break free at all. The burning flames started to consume his flesh bit by bit, even his magic core. Helianjua's face finally revealed an expression of fear and despair. Let go of me. You want to burn my magic core? Do you know who I am? You dare to kill me. Mu Yen released the hand holding the 7 absolute sword, sneered and turned to look at Yun Ruhen. Eldest Shixiang, are you all right? She would not allow the people of the Xiaoyao sect to be harmed in any way. Yun Ruhen's cultivation was very high, but it was in the direction of spiritual cultivation. In the hidden abyss, spiritual energy and immortal energy could not be absorbed, only demonic energy was left. As a result, Yun Ruhan's strength had only reached level 1 demon guard after cultivating and taking the demonic elixir in this period of time. If a small demon guard was hit by Hellion Jua, his magic core could crack. How could Mu Yan not be angry? She had already given him a yard on the magic crystal platform. Now that he wanted to seek his own death, he could not blame her for being ruthless. The flame on the 7 absolute sword was the golden crow fire that could burn most of the energy in the world. The bodies of the Mo were tough and could be reborn infinitely. But under the burning of the golden crow fire, they could not resist and their magic core was burned to death. Yun Ruhan saw the worry and fear in Mu Yan's eyes and said softly, "I'm fine. Little Shimmy does not need to worry. No matter what, I am still your eldest Xixiang. Even if I am not as talented as you, I am not as weak as you think." As the two spoke, Hellion Jua's wretched screams grew louder. And the golden crow fire had spread to his entire body. Finally, someone could no longer sit still. "Yiliangchen, stop right now. If this goes on, then do you intend to go against the rules of the groom selection and kill the young master?" An old man hurried forward. The old man wanted to go forward and pull out the golden crow fire but found that he could not touch it. The golden crow fire was driven by Shin power and had recognized a master. Even though the old man's cultivation had reached the 9th level of Mo master, he could not control the golden crow fire. The old man's face was ashen. He looked at Mu Yan and said anxiously, "Did you hear that? Why aren't you stopping?" Mayan sneers, "So what if I don't stop? When Hellion Jua killed my eldest senior brother, did he think of the consequences? If you have the guts to do it, you must have the guts to bear the consequences." The old man gritted his teeth and said, "According to the rules of the betrothal contest, the contestants are not allowed to kill each other. Do you want to disobey the demon venerable's order?" "Oh, I'm sorry. Those who haven't been eliminated are the true participants. Didn't Hellion Jua admit defeat just now? Furthermore, if attacking any of the participants is considered a violation of the rules, then what about Hellion Jua's evil forbidden technique on the magic crystal stage?" Chapter 4185. Of course. I almost thought I was dead. Damn it, he absorbed our demonic chi to repair his body. He's shameless. I'm also a contestant. Mu Yan spread her hands at the old man and revealed a mocking smile. The old man was so angry that his face turned purple. He gritted his teeth and said, "Do you know that Hellion Jua is the only son of my master, the captain of the Blood Demon Team 1, Hellion Guanyu? Since you killed my young master, my master won't let you off." The mocking smile on Mu Yan's face deepened. "He's here to compete with his father. Fine, I'll kill him first. Let's see how Hellion Guanyu will look for me then." Before she could finish speaking, a dazzling light flew over from the sky. With a loud bang, the light landed on the 7 absolute sword. The 7 absolute sword trembled and fell from Hellion Jua's body. The golden crow fire was also extinguished. Soon after, everyone saw a tall figure appear beside Hellion Jua and support him. Hellion Jua was already on the verge of death. The skin on his chest and the internal organs in his abdomen were badly mutilated by the flames. He opened his eyes in a daze and shouted, "Father!" Then he spat out a mouthful of blood. When the demons on the immortal slaying square heard the word father, they gasped. The man in front of them was actually the captain of the Blood Demon Team 1, Hellion Guanyu. Those demons who supported Yiliangchen all had worried expressions on their faces. There were many rumors about Hellion Guanyu. It was said that he was one of the few trusted subordinates who followed the demon emperor to conquer the world. He should have been called a demon general like Tianhe Jiotong and the others. However, because he made a big mistake, he was punished and his cultivation base could not advance anymore. He could only be called the captain of the Blood Demon Team. Nonetheless, Hellion Guanyu's strength was unfathomable, and he was extremely shrewd. His style was not like a demon cultivator but a spirit cultivator. Based on the straightforward character of the demons, they preferred Yu Yu and Wu Lei, who were equally clear about their likes and dislikes, and did not beat around the bush. Nonetheless, no one dared to speak ill of Guanyu behind his back. This was because it did not matter to Yu Yu and the others who were casually criticized. Those who insulted Captain Guanyu in public would eventually die a miserable death. They would die silently and nobody would be able to tell the reason. Devils were straight but they were not stupid. As time passed, nobody dared to talk about Guanyu behind her back anymore. It was even said that many elite demons in the demon blood guards had been won over by him because of his various means. Guan Yu's love for her only son Helianjua was also well known. In the past, the immortal slaying city had produced some extremely talented individuals. However, the moment they threatened Helianjua's reputation and prestige, they would also be silently dealt with. When everyone thought of how Mu Yen had severely injured Helian Guan Yu's son in front of her, and how she had lost all face, they couldn't help but sweat for their demon King Yi. The 7 Absolute Sword had returned to Mu Yan's hand. Her entire body was tense as she looked at the tall man in front of her. In terms of appearance, Helian Guan Yu and Helianjua were about the same age, and their facial features were somewhat similar. In terms of their magic cores, there was only a difference of 1 or 2 small realms between them. However, the murderous aura between Helian Guan Yu's eyebrows and the pressure around her body were much stronger than Helianjua's. At this moment, Helianjua had come back to his senses. He sensed that his cultivation base had fallen by a large realm, and he had become a demon guard that he looked down upon in the past. He could not help but feel grief and indignation, and he was so angry that he wanted to go crazy. Chapter 4186. Father, you must avenge me, kill Yi Liangchen, avenge me. Helian Mingyu said solemnly, don't worry Zhua. Father will definitely make her pay you back 10 times, 100 times for the pain and humiliation you suffered today. Helianjua's eyes were filled with excitement. His body trembled and he finally couldn't hold on any longer and fainted. Only then did Helian Guanyu look at Mu Yan and Yun Ruhan. When he glanced at Yun Ruhan, a dark glint flashed across his eyes. Lady Guanyu, you can't do anything to Yi Liangchen. He's going to participate. Yu Ying hurriedly rushed out and wanted to stop Helian Guanyu. But before she could finish her words, it was as if someone was strangling her throat. Her face turned purple and she could no longer make a sound. Helian Guanyu acted as if she had not noticed Yu Ying's existence at all. While smiling faintly, he approached Mu Yan. Today I, Helian Guanyu, killed the human spy who harmed my son, not the choice of the princess's son-in-law. All of you can testify for me on this point. The old man who had just rushed out to stop Mu Yan had a smug look on his face. He said loudly, Lord, you've never seen Yap Liangchen before. You have no idea who the contestant for the betrothal contest is. My lord is just angry and heartbroken that the young master was harmed by the treacherous human race, so he must seek justice for his son. I'm sure everyone here can testify with me. Otherwise, just treat them as spies of spirit cultivators and deal with them. This was simply a blatant reversal of black and white and a threat. Everyone on the immortal slaying square had ugly expressions on their faces. They wanted to say something, but just like Yu Ying, they were unable to speak, as if someone was strangling their throats. As Helian Xianyue moved forward, her cold gaze swept back and forth between Mu Yan and Yun Ruhan. His voice is concentrated into a bundle, and only Mayan and Yun Ruhan's ears can hear it. Hehe, I heard that Yue has a whole new level of respect for you too. I wonder how she will react if I throw your corpses in front of her. After Yu returned to the demon blood guards, she began to attack Helian Guanyu's team. Her method was very simple. That was to send out the members of the 3rd Blood Demon Squad to challenge the members of the 1st Blood Demon Squad. All of these devils who were challenged were trusted subordinates of Helian Guanyu. In the end, they were all crippled after a decisive battle. However, Helian Guanyu didn't dare to touch Yu at all, and her subordinates couldn't be as strong and fearless as Yu's confidants. Helian Guanyu's killing intent towards Yu was already like a torrential flood, rolling endlessly. Even if Helianjua hadn't been crippled, he would still have taken the opportunity to make things difficult for Yu today. He had received news that Yue was infatuated with these 2 kids. Especially that little demon soldier called Yun Ruhan, who had killed the confidant he had painstakingly planted, allowing Yue to escape. Today he would settle all the old and new debts together. A small axe appeared in Helian Guanyu's hand. With a swing of the axe, a cloud of black mist immediately appeared in the air and flew towards Mu Yan and Yun Ruhan. Mu Yan quickly used Holy Hand's weaver to create a sound wall that enveloped her, Yun Ruhan and Night Spirit within. With a loud bang, the sound wall shattered. Chapter 4187. Mu Yan, who was the support of the barrier, was not much better. her face was pale and her body swayed slightly, but her movements of playing the Tianmochin became faster and faster. Night Spirit was already in a daze. If Mu Yen hadn't enveloped her with her divine sense and stabilized her divine soul, she, a small demon soldier, would have already exploded and died. Liangchen, what should we do? What should we do now? How about we give all the healing pills to him? At least we'll have a chance of survival. This silly girl thought that Helian Guanyu would let them off if she gave him the pills to treat Helian Zhua. Mu Yen plucked the strings and created a sound barrier to cover Night Spirit. She said in a deep voice, "Night Spirit, retreat further away. If I'm unfortunately defeated, take the remaining Maobei back to Blood Flame City." Liangchen. Night Spirit was almost crying. "Have you forgotten? You still have to look for your father. Are you willing to die just like that? Don't push me out and let me watch you die. I might as well die with you." Night Spirit cried and wanted to pounce back, but she was trapped in the sound barrier and pushed further and further away. Mu Yen and Yun Ruhen looked at each other. Yun Ruhen smiled. "Little junior sister, don't think about pushing me away." Mu Yen smiled as well. That was because she knew that just like how she wouldn't sit idly by and watch someone hurt her fellow disciples, her eldest senior brother wouldn't let her face danger alone. Even if Yun Ruhen's cultivation was pitifully low in the abyss. Even if both of them might die here today. Mu Yen took a deep breath and her eyes were filled with determination. Her fingers quickly plucked the strings of the zither and activated Phantom Shadow. Another figure slowly appeared. Since there was no way out, they would fight to the death. Helian Guanyu looked at their actions and couldn't help but sneer. "Do you want to struggle on your deathbed? Do you think I'm Zhuo? Do you think a 5th-rank demon master like you can fight against me?" He, the dark horse of the marriage selection, Demon King Yi, the most popular candidate for the princess's husband. "Yi Liangchen, I'll let you know today that in my eyes, you're just an ant. If I want you to live, you can live. If I want you to die, you'll die." The moment she spoke, the demonic qi around Helian Guanyu suddenly surged. Strong gales swept across the immortal slaughtering square. All the spectating devils retreated in fear. Is this the strength of a demon lord? This is clearly a devil general. Can Yi Liangchen be saved? Demon King Yi is the leader of the immortal slaughtering city, and he's going to participate in the heavenly enchantment banquet's prince consort selection. Could it be that no one in the immortal slaughtering city did anything and allowed Helian Guanyu to kill him? Shoo, shut up. Are you crazy? That's Lord Helian we're talking about, the captain of the Blood Demon Team 1. Who in the immortal slaying city can stop him? As the demonic qi in Helian Lua's body skyrocketed, the axe in his hand suddenly became huge and emitted a dazzling red light. Wherever the red light swept across, the magic crystal platform, which was hard enough to withstand a blow from the 7 absolute sword, shattered inch by inch. Fine beads of sweat seep out of Mayan's forehead, and blood also overflows from the corners of her mouth. The hands controlling the Tianmochin are already riddled with scars, almost unable to move. This was under the hidden abyss. There was only demonic qi, no spiritual power or mortal power. She hadn't fully mastered the Tianmochin, which was controlled by demonic qi, and couldn't even exert half of the strength of a Shen musician. Chapter 4188. In the battle with Helian Zhua just now, in order to save the demons on the Immortal Massacre Plaza, she had almost used up all of her divine power. Now that she was facing Helian Guanyu, she was already an arrow at the end of its flight. Therefore, the only way was to use his remaining divine power to fuse with all the demonic energy in his body and unleash a big move, Limitless Demonic Tao. However, the activation of the Limitless Demonic Way required time. Helian Guanyu would not give her such a chance. Yun Ruhen had obviously noticed this as well. Therefore, the moment Helian Guanyu swung her giant axe, he rushed forward without hesitation. Without spiritual energy, the Ice Soul Sword could not be used. The only thing he could use was his flesh and blood body. But Yun Ruhen was just a small demon guard. Mayan's eyes suddenly widen, her fingers almost playing the wrong rhythm. Bang! The giant axe fell and blood splattered everywhere. Eldest brother. Yun Ruhen was almost cleaved in two by the giant axe. Although the demon core did not shatter, it no longer had the strength to resist. Helian Guanyu laughed out loud and the giant axe returned to his hand. He soared into the sky and dove down towards Mu Yen. Yi Liangchen, you're next. I've said it before, if you dare hurt my son, I'll make you pay 10 times, 100 times over. Everyone on the immortal slaying square widened their eyes and mouths. Their faces were filled with terror and despair. Was Yap going to die? Just like that, he died miserably and sullenly at the hands of Helian Guanyu. However, right at this moment, an explosive shout came from the sky. Helian Guanyu, you're courting death. What was that sound? Everyone subconsciously raised their heads and looked over. A figure descended from the sky like lightning and pounced towards Helian Guanyu. As he descended, his entire body ignited with flames, illuminating the square that had been darkened by the gale. At the same time, the demons finally saw the face of the newcomer. Milky Way. It was the Sky River Demon General. Why is the Sky River Demon General here? Everyone's faces were first filled with shock, followed by ecstasy. So this competition was actually hosted by the Sky River Demon General. In this way, could Demon King Yi be saved? Sky River Demon General, faster, faster. We must save Demon King Yi. However, in the next moment, the hope on everyone's faces turned into astonishment. This was because Tianhe, who was diving down rapidly in midair, had actually stopped moving. He was suspended in midair, his mouth slightly agape as he looked down in shock. What happened? Why hadn't the Sky River Demon General gone to save Demon King Yi? Why would he have such an expression? All the demons on the immortal slaying square turned their heads and looked over, returning their gazes to their original position. In the next moment, their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Someone sucked in a breath of cold air. His knees went weak and he fell to the ground on his butt. Some people rubbed their eyes again and again, but they still couldn't believe what they saw. Next to the broken magic crystal platform, Helian Guanyu, who had been overflowing with arrogance just a moment ago, was floating in midair. His neck seemed to be choked by something and a painful expression appeared on his face. Ah dash! A shrill scream came out of his mouth. Then he saw that Helian Guanyu's hand, which was holding the axe, was forcibly torn off by an invisible force. The wind was still howling and clouds, mist and dust swirled around the square. But everyone still slowly saw the scene below clearly. After Helian Guanyu's right hand was torn off, it slowly descended and fell into a slender hand. Chapter 4189. The owner of the hand was dressed in black. He was tall and slender and his long hair was draped behind him. Although the wind was howling, it couldn't be blown away at all. Helian Guanyu, who did you just say you wanted to repay 10 times or 100 times? The man slowly raised his head. His slightly demonic and cold eyes revealed a casual killing intent. His gaze fell on Helian Guanyu. Did you just use this hand to hurt her? As soon as he finished speaking, Helian Guanyu's broken arm in his hand suddenly exploded. Not even blood was left behind. Helian Guanyu, who was bound in midair, had a twisted face because of the pain. But there was more fear and disbelief in his eyes. His lips trembled and it took him a long time to utter a trembling voice. Demon Lord, why are you here? Whoosh! The word, Demon Lord, was like a huge stone thrown into a boiling temptation. The entire immortal slaughtering square exploded. Demon Lord! Demon Lord! It turned out that the Demon Lord had come in person. How could this be? What the hell happened? The demons on the square were going crazy. They wanted to shout and kneel down, but found that they were too excited, that their bodies were stiff and trembling and they couldn't move at all. The only one who could still react was Tianhe. After a moment of daze, he slowly descended and knelt in front of Jun Shitian. Greetings, Demon Lord. He wanted to ask why the Demon Lord had come. It only took a moment to travel from the Demon Imperial City to the Immortal Slaughtering City with the teleportation token. But the Demon Lord obviously didn't come like this. Because the teleportation location set by the teleportation token was usually the periphery of the main city, not the center of the square. And the Demon Lord was still on the other side of the Mirage Stone a moment ago, but now he suddenly appeared here. There was only one possibility, and that was that he didn't care about the loss of his cultivation, tore the space and directly teleported to the Immortal Slaughtering City. Tianhe glanced at Mu Yen and didn't ask the question that was on the tip of his tongue. As talkative as he was, he couldn't help but feel dizzy and unable to think. Thinking of what Elder Minwei had said, he couldn't help but look at Mu Yen again, swallow his saliva, and suppress the shock that filled his heart with great difficulty. While Tianhe was letting his imagination run wild, Helian Guanyu's other hand and feet had already been torn off by Jun Shitian. Even if the demon's body could be reborn, Helian Guanyu was in so much pain that she wished she was dead. She wailed in pain and begged for mercy. What terrified Helian Guanyu the most was that as the pain spread, the demon Venerable's powerful demonic qi seeped into his body and crushed his demon core with a domineering and sharp aura, causing his many years of cultivation to be directly consumed. Helian Guanyu could not take it anymore and cried loudly, Fiend exalt, I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have attacked the candidate for the princess's son-in-law, but I was also angry that he injured my son, so I couldn't help but retaliate. It wasn't easy for a heaven-raised devil to have a child. My son Helian Zhua was originally a heaven-bestowed genius, but now he has been destroyed by him. That's why I acted out of anger. Please understand, Demon Venerable. Please forgive me. Jun Shitian chuckled and said faintly, I understand you and agree with your actions. Helian Guanyu had just relaxed. She heard the man below continue, because I am also doing the same thing. Jun Shitian's voice was low and cold as if it came from the depths of hell, carrying a bone-piercing chill. Whoever dares to hurt my daughter, I will naturally make him pay 1,000 times over. Chapter 4190. Due to unknown reasons, Sogu is suddenly unable to find the site today. The whole place was dead silent. In fact, it was completely silent. But at this moment, it was so quiet that only the sound of the wind could be heard. Even the sound of breathing and clothes rubbing against the ground seemed to have disappeared. Helian Guanyu's eyes were wide open, her whole body stiff. She looked at Jun Shitian and then at Mu Yen. After a long time she asked in a trembling voice, Demon Lord, what did you just say? This sentence was also what all the demons on the immortal slaughtering square wanted to ask. Lord Demon Lord, what are you talking about? In the dead silence, Elder Minwei, who came through the teleportation token, hurried over. As soon as he landed on the magic crystal platform, he looked at Mu Yen. Then his eyes suddenly turned red. Elder Minwei, who was high up in the whole hidden abyss, held the Blood Demon Commander's decree, commanded thousands of demon troops, and no one could contend against him except Demon Lord Jun Shitian, suddenly stepped forward and knelt down on one knee without hesitation. Minwei pays respect to Her Royal Highness. His voice was hoarse and trembling, containing infinite vicissitudes and hope. Tears almost rolled down from his eyes. Her Royal Highness, we finally found you. The sound of the wind blew past everyone's ears. Everyone was dumbstruck as they looked at the scene on the magic crystal platform. They looked at each other and looked at each other. They all felt that they should be in a dream. Yes, they must have been under an illusion and then they heard it wrong. Yiliangchen is Demon King Yi. He is the love demon in the dreams of many women in the hidden abyss. Some of them followed him all the way from Red Star City. They watched helplessly as the originally unremarkable teenager cut through all obstacles and became the most popular candidate for the princess's son-in-law. But now, Elder Minwei told them, the princess's son-in-law they thought was actually the demon princess. Are you fucking kidding us? In fact, Mu Yen was even more confused than those demons. She looked at Minwei, who was kneeling in front of her, completely unable to come back to her senses. It's not just Minwei anymore. When Tianhe saw Elder Minwei kneeling in front of the princess, he quickly gave up paying respect to the demon lord and followed suit. However, the expression on his face was still somewhat magical. This is Her Highness. You must be joking. In order to find the princess, they had almost turned the entire hidden abyss upside down, but the princess had actually disguised herself as a man to participate in their betrothal contest? Most importantly, she was just a little girl in her early 20s, and she hadn't even practiced the devil race's cultivation method for 2 days. He had defeated tens of thousands of devilish elites in the betrothal election to become one of the final 4 candidates. At the thought of this, Tianhe could not help but feel dizzy. Should I say that Her Royal Highness is indeed the princess? Marry myself. My prince consort was defeated by me. The more Tian he thought about it, the more shocked he became. The more he thought about it, the more his heart surged. Even his gaze towards Mayan changed from shock to worship. After Tian He, the first person to react was the city lord of Immortal Slaying City. At this moment his mind was in a mess. His ears were ringing wildly. Why is the demon lord here? Why is Elder Minwei here? Why is Her Highness here as well? How could the princess be Yap Liang Qin? But this did not prevent him from seeing the situation clearly. He knelt on the ground and loudly said, "Greetings to Her Royal Highness." Mayan. Chapter 4191. Mayan finds her voice after a long while, frowning. "You've got the wrong person, right? What princess? What does it have to do with her?" As soon as her voice falls, the man in black in front of her slowly turns around. The moment she sees the man, Mayan's heart suddenly jumps as if she was hit by something. She obviously hasn't seen this man before. But he inexplicably feels very familiar. As if this face has been engraved in the depths of her soul. Mayan frowns slightly, opening her mouth. "Who are you?" Jun Shirtian raises his left hand. A piece of vermilion jade falls from his hand, gently swaying in the air, emitting a faint red light. The next moment, Mayan feels the blood in her body boiling along with the flickering red light of the vermilion jade. Magic Core Blood Jade. This is the magic core blood jade that is connected to her life and soul. But this is not the one she gave to Di Mingju. Then there's only. Mayan's pupils suddenly shrink, staring at the man in front of her. After a long while she says in a low, hoarse voice, "You are Jun Shiyuan?" Jun Shirtian's eyes flash, whispering, "This was the alias of this Soon's previous life. This Soon is Jun Shiyuan, and you are this Soon's biological daughter." Mayan's hands suddenly clench into fists, almost unable to control her emotions. Elder Minwei hurriedly says, "Your Highness, the demon lord lost part of his memory in the mortal world and forgot about your existence. Until 2 years ago he suddenly remembered. We tried our best to find your existence, including setting up a marriage contract for you. We wanted to find a chance to be linked to you through the 3 live stone marriage contract." Mayan listens numbly. The scene before Ning Yanxin's death unconsciously appeared in her mind. Until Elder Min Wei's long-winded voice reaches her ears. She suddenly widens her eyes and almost blurts out, "You said you set up a marriage contract for me with the 3 live stone? Who is the other party of the contract?" Elder Min Wei didn't expect her to pay attention to this matter first. He stares blankly. "It's His Highness Luo Yunshao of the Nether Realm. Your Highness may not know this person. Although he's not famous, he's extremely talented. But if you really don't like him, Princess..." Mu Yan only felt a buzzing sound in her mind and it instantly went blank. Her body swayed slightly. She could no longer support herself and fainted. Mu Yan awoke from her deep and dark dream, and Yun Ruhen's joyful voice rang in her ears. "Junior sister, you're awake?" Mayan opens her eyes and meets Yun Ruhen's worried face. She pressed her temples and slowly sat up. She looked tired and confused. "What happened? What is this place?" The surroundings were obviously much more luxurious and elegant than the inn they were staying in. Seeing that she was fine, Yun Ruhen heaved a sigh of relief. "This is the Immortal Slaughtering City's City Lord Manor, little junior sister." He paused for a moment before continuing, "Don't you remember what happened at the Immortal Slaying Plaza?" Yun Ruhen's words brought back the memories in her mind. Jun Shirtian is her biological father, Jun Shiyuan. And she was the demon princess. The person who signed the marriage contract with her was youngest martial uncle. Mu Yan pressed her temples again, only to feel a burst of irritation and pain. She couldn't help but look at Yun Ruhen. Am I really the demon princess? The demon princess that she once scolded for having no taste and being a weirdo? Chapter 4192. At this moment, Mu Yan only felt a burst of pain on her face. What in the world was going on? How could Jun Shiyuan be the demon lord Jun Shirtian? You can't make a joke like this. Thinking of this blunder, Yun Ruhen couldn't help but laugh. Marrying yourself and participating in your own marriage selection, I'm afraid this is the first time in the world. Junior sister, you really don't take the usual path. Mu Yan glared at Yun Ruhen, then couldn't help but feel lucky. Fortunately, the 4th sister and little 7 were not here. Otherwise she would be laughed to death. The The point was, how could she have thought that the demon princess who was famous for being noble and arrogant, who wanted to get all the handsome men in the world into her bed, who couldn't wait to open the 3 palaces and 6 courtyards, would be herself? How could she slander her reputation like this? After laughing, Yun Ruhen solemnly asked, "Junior sister, the people of the demon clan have been waiting outside, not daring to come in. What's your next plan?" Mu Yen was startled and also put away her messy thoughts. "I want to see the demon lord alone." Hearing her call him the demon lord instead of her father, Yun Ruhen sighed softly. He stood up and patted her shoulder. "No matter what decision you make, eldest senior brother will support you." He paused, then continued, "Whether you marry Instructor Mo in the future or become the demon princess, the Xiaoyao sect will always be your home." Mu Yan's eyes became hot and she said hoarsely, "I know, senior brother." She knew a long time ago that the Xiaoyao sect would always be her home, no matter who or where, no one could replace it. Not long after Yun Ruhen left, Jun Shitian pushed open the door and came in. Mu Yan looked at her biological father and her mind was slightly distracted. Mu Yan's eyes and eyebrows were like her mother Ning Yanqin. Her face shape was completely different from the two of them. It was reasonable to say that she and Jun Shiyuan should not have any similarities. But the moment Mu Yan saw him, she felt that he was familiar. Even in the unclean abyss, when Huang Lang felt that she was similar to Jun Shiyuan at first glance. She used to think that Jun Shiyuan did not care about his daughter's life. But now he knew. Jun Shiyuan or Jun Shitian cared. But so what? As a father, he left her with her adoptive father and didn't care about her at all. He allowed her to be bullied in her previous life, lose her child and die without a complete corpse. She could accept all of this because Jun Shiyuan probably didn't want to lose his memories. But what about Ning Yanqin? When she thought of her mother who had watched her husband leave her in the Great Array, Mu Yan felt as if she was suffocating in her chest, making her almost unable to breathe. Jun Shitian is obviously not used to interacting with her. His expression is cold and he is speechless for a long time. In fact, the demon lord was so nervous that his palms were sweating. He didn't know what to say. After a long while he finally said, "Tomorrow you will follow me back to Imperial Palace, Missouri." Mu Yan took a deep look at him and didn't say anything. She said slowly, "Do you still remember Ning Yanqin?" Jun Shitian's body trembled slightly. His sweaty palms felt cold. He steadied his emotions and said faintly, "I know that she is your mother. However, I can't remember many things that happened in the mortal world. Is she still alive?" Mu Yan smiled gently. There was sadness and mockery in her laughter. "Don't you remember? Yes, she is just a passerby in your mortal world." Chapter 4193. A dignified demon lord, a supreme being who has all the beauties in the world. How could he remember a passerby in the Xiuzhen continent, a dispensable love? Jun Shitian subconsciously wants to refute. But there's a piercing pain in his body. He can't tell if it's the pain in his magic core or the pain in his divine soul. But he doesn't want to lose his composure in front of his daughter, so he straightens his back and doesn't show any signs of it. Mu Yan takes a deep breath and suppresses the surging emotions in her heart. Fortunately, the heavenly magic zither's space has been opened, and the things inside can be taken out. She throws a bronze bell with blood patterns to Jun Shitian's hand. The bell emitted a tinkling sound in the air and landed in Jun Shitian's hand. Mu Yan says in a hoarse voice, "You can rest assured that Ning Yanqin is dead. No one will ask you to be responsible for a love affair in the mortal world." She sneers. "This is the blood pattern bell she left behind after her death. Although you may not want it, I think it's best to give it to you. If you really don't like it, don't throw it away. Just give it back to me. There's one more thing that Ning Yanqin asked me to tell you." She said, "The rise and fall of fate, destiny is determined. I don't hate him, but I hope that I will never meet Jun Changjue again." After Mu Yan says this, she sees that the man in front of her is holding the blood pattern bell tightly and doesn't speak for a long time. She feels that there's something wrong with Jun Shitian's state. But before she can see it clearly, Jun Shitian says coldly, "I know." Then he quickly disappears from the room. Ever since Yun Ruhen informed everyone that Mu Yan has woken up, Min Wei and Tianhe have been waiting anxiously in the room. When he sees Jun Shitian, Elder Min Wei immediately greets him. Demon Lord, Her Royal Highness has agreed to return with us. Demon Lord. Demon Lord. What's wrong with you? Jun Shirtion almost falls as soon as he lands on the ground. His whole body curls up into a ball and trembles violently. As he trembles, the blood-patterned bell in his hand seems to make jingling sounds. It's like a wail of blood. A low chuckle escaped from his throat. However, this laughter was incomparably desolate and despairing, and it also carried a deep-rooted hatred. Accompanied by the melancholy bell, it simply made people feel flustered and sad. At this moment, countless voices and images were crazily pouring into Jun Shirtion's mind. Love was as unpredictable as the wind and snow, but it would die with a single move. My name is Jun Shiyun. Hey, don't go. Since I told you my name, shouldn't you tell me yours as well? Ning Yanqin, why don't you smile? I think you must look good when you smile. Miss Ning, I thought I've made myself clear enough. As for me, I liked you from the first time I saw you. In this life, I, Jun Shiyun, will either be a bachelor or marry you. I don't seek to be with you, I only wish to accompany you to the ends of the earth. Yen Exen, you're willing to sleep with me, but you're not willing to marry me. But I still think of you as my wife. I, Jun Shiyun, swear that I will only love you in this life. Yen Exen, we have a child. I'm going to be a father, hee hee. Yen Exen, you don't know how happy I am. May there be years to look back on and we will grow old together. Chapter 4194. Ancestor, don't forget the promise you made to me. Let go of Jun Shiyuan and let him leave the floating island safely. I am willing to enter the flowing goblin pond as a sacrifice for the Ning family. Ning Yanqin, how dare you enter the flowing goblin pond? How dare you? Yanqin, I beg you, don't leave me. You are my soul, embryonic light, and my 3 physical forms, dead dog, hidden arrow and sparrow een. Now that you have gone through all the tribulations in the mortal world, why don't you return quickly? Jun Shirtion laughed, but tears came out from the corners of his eyes. His laughter gradually turned into a low murmur and call, Ning Yanqin, Ning Yanqin. Yanqin, how could I forget you? How could I forget you? At this moment, 1 soul and 1 physical form finally returned. But the extreme sorrow and hatred for herself almost made her 3 souls and 7 physical forms collapse. She said, I don't hate him. I only hope that in this lifetime I will never see Jun Changju again. Jun Shirtion, who do you think you are? How could you watch her fall into the hell rebirth array, and do nothing? How could you forget Ning Yanqin, whom you loved as much as your life? She missed you so much that she broke up with you. So, she doesn't want you anymore. She doesn't want to see you anymore. Jun Shirtion, what do you have left after losing her? Thick demonic energy surged out of Jun Shirtion's body as if it was boiling. The entire Castellan mansion and even the immortal massacre city shook violently. Minwei reacted very quickly. He quickly set up a barrier to lock Jun Shirtion's violent demonic energy inside. But it could only be locked for a while, not for too long. Tianhe was about to go crazy. Demon Venerable. Elder Minwei, what is going on? How did Demon Venerable become like this? Where is the doctor? Where is the doctor? I will go find the doctor in the Castellan. No. Minwei didn't have time to wipe the blood from the corner of his mouth. We can't let any demons know the condition of Demon Venerable's body. Minwei wanted to smash Tianhe's stupid head with a slap. In a place like the Demon Clan where the strong were respected. If people knew that the devil Qi in the Honor Demon Lord's body had gone berserk and his divine soul had been greatly damaged, what awaited him would not only be the worry of the devil race in the abyss, but also the restlessness of those who wanted to seize power. Then what should we do? Why don't we go back to the Demon Imperial City now? Elder Minwei's face turned pale, but he shook his head with a bitter smile and said, It's too late. Suppressing Demon Lord for another 15 minutes is already my limit, and during the teleportation process, I won't be able to suppress the rampaging devil Qi. Demon Lord will destroy the teleportation array, and by then, we'll all be lost in the turbulence of space. This won't do, that won't do. What should we do? Tianhe smashed the table and chair with a violent punch. How did the honor demon become like this? Is it because of the princess? With this reminder, Minwei thought of something and hurriedly said, Quickly invite Her Highness over. Remember to be nice, do you hear me? Mu Yen looks at Jun Shirtion. Her expression is indescribably complicated. The high and mighty Devil Lord was no longer as cold and aloof as he was just now in front of her. At this moment his whole body is curled up into a ball without any care for his image. Tears mixed with blood are flowing out of his eyes. He looks miserable and pitiful. Chapter 4195. Princess, what did you say to the demon venerable? Tianhe couldn't help but ask in a loud voice. Mu Yan was silent for a moment, then slowly said, I told him that Ning Yanxin is dead. But she thought that Jun Shitian didn't care about Ning Yanxin's life. He only treated it as a fleeting love in the mortal world. He was a little sad, but he didn't really care about it. But she didn't expect that the demon venerable, who pretended to be calm in front of her, would be so sad because of Ning Yanxin's death. Elder Min Wei said in a hoarse voice, Princess, the demon venerable is really innocent about the mortal world tribulation. It's not that he didn't want to find you and your mother, but that soul and spirit refused to fuse with him. He couldn't find them even if he wanted to. Also, do you hate the demon venerable for not saving your mother? In fact, when the mortal world tribulation ended, the soul and spirit were forcibly taken away by the formation without any power to resist. After the soul and spirit returned, the divine soul couldn't fuse and the demon venerable couldn't remember anything. But all these years, the demon venerable always unconsciously revealed a look of longing and absent-minded. He also didn't allow any evil woman to get close to him. He clearly forgot, but he couldn't help but collect some little things that girls like, but he couldn't remember why he did it. Min Wei's eyes turned red. Sometimes, it's the people who are forced to forget that are the most painful. I don't ask you to forgive the demon venerable, but I hope that you can see that the demon venerable has been looking for you and call him a few times. Now he can't hear us. If we let him be immersed in grief and regret, his demon core will explode. Not to mention the demon venerable and us. Even the entire immortal slaughtering city won't be able to withstand the demon venerable's self-detonation. Maybe only your voice and your call can be heard by the demon venerable. Mu Yan let out a long sigh and said in a low voice, I understand. Elder Min Wei, don't worry. I won't let anything happen to him. Min Wei was happy, but then he revealed a worried expression. In fact, asking Mu Yan to call Jun Shitian was just like trying to save a dead horse. Min Wei didn't even have a 10% chance of waking up the demon lord. Min Wei and Tianhe were waiting for Mu Yan to call out to Jun Shitian. Even if she didn't call him father or father, just calling him demon lord might make Jun Shitian react. However, Mu Yan suddenly sat down on the ground, and a black zither appeared in her hands. His slender and fair fingers gently plucked the strings, producing a melodious sound. Tianhe said anxiously, Your Highness, what are you doing? Is this the time to play the zither? Shut up. However, Min Wei seemed to have noticed something. He pushed the heavenly river away and looked at Mu Yan in shock. If he's not mistaken, this antique zither is the Tian Emochin that once swept across the three realms, the Tian Emochin that made all the spirit cultivators in the Xiuxian continent tremble with fear. Could it be that the princess is a Shen musician? As the sound of the zither gradually rose, it was sometimes agitated and sometimes lingering. It was as if the music was depicting the old days when they met, knew and loved each other. Jun Shitian's expression slowly changed. His slack pupils gradually focused, and his scarlet eyes unconsciously looked towards the direction of the zither. Mu Yan said while playing the zither, Jun Xin, do you know? Chapter 4196. When I saw with my own eyes how my mother suffered in the past 20 years, when I knew that you didn't save her, I hated you. I made up my mind to tell you Ning Yanxin's words. I wanted to see your remorseful and heartless face. Yes. She hid her resentment in her heart. She wanted to see her biological father's remorseful face. She wanted to let him taste the pain that her mother had tasted. She thought that she would be happy to see Jun Shitian's almost crazy appearance. But in fact at this moment she only felt sad. The affairs of the world are unpredictable. Many times even a powerful demon lord is just a chess piece manipulated by fate. Because of a strange combination of factors, he hurt his dearest and most loved person. Half of his body was weathered and half of his body was hurt. Mu Yan closed her eyes and tears fell from her eyes. Now I still don't want to forgive you, or in other words, No one in this world can forgive you for Ning Yanqin. But I want to tell you one thing. She took a deep breath and slowly opened her eyes. Her peach blossom eyes were as clear as water without any fluctuation, but it seemed to be enshrouded in infinite complex emotions. In order to save me, my mother sacrificed herself and her soul scattered. I thought that she had no vitality and had disappeared from this world without a trace. But later I found out that there was a remnant soul left in the blood vein bell that she wore all year round. Jun Shitian's eyes suddenly widened. His red eyes flickered with hope and madness, like a drowning man grasping at the last life-saving straw. He firmly grasped it, unwilling to let go. Mu Yan accidentally discovered the existence of the remnant soul in the blood vein bell after comprehending the derivative skill of the realm of stars. Nirvana of stars. He was simply ecstatic. When she was on the floating island, she planned to use her soul essence to nourish it. Soul essence would consume her lifespan. But compared to bringing her mother Ning Yanqin back to life, it was nothing. Who knew that before she could put her thoughts into action, the Nether Realm and Lu Xingyun chased after young martial uncle. Young martial uncle committed suicide, and the Xiaoyao school was almost completely destroyed. Mu Yan also used the power of the law against the natural order and almost died. When she woke up again, she was already in the hidden abyss. The space of Tianmo-Qin can't be opened, and the blood vein bell can't be taken out. Naturally, she can't nurture her mother's remnant soul. She had never thought of telling Jun Shitian about Ning Yanqin's remnant soul. But now, no matter how much she hated this man, she did not wish for him to die. No one in the room spoke, only the melodious sound of the zither reverberating in their ears. Mu Yan's eyes fell on the blood vein bell and she said word by word, "A broken remnant soul can't be resurrected. It will only dissipate in the world as time goes by. But I, the Shin musicians, have a skill that allows me to transfer the divine essence of a living person to a remnant soul, slowly nourishing the remnant soul. If 10 years isn't enough, then I'll take 100 years. If 100 years isn't enough, then I'll take 1,000 years. If 1,000 years isn't enough, then I'll take 10,000 years. I don't know how long it will take for my soul and spirit to grow. I also don't know how long it will take for Ning Yanqin to come back to life. Perhaps she will never come back to life again." Mu Yan paused for a moment. "I originally planned to transfer my own divine essence to this remnant soul. After activating her divine power, her soul essence had already transformed into divine essence." Chapter 4197. Before he finished, Mu Yan heard the man's hoarse voice. "Let me do it." His lips trembled slightly and after a long time he said in a broken voice, "Let me do it. I will use my divine essence to nourish her. It doesn't matter if it's thousands of years, even if it takes away all of my divine essence." The man's expression was the same as usual, with a taut indifference. But for some reason Mu Yan could read the humble pleading in his eyes. The nourishment of the remnant soul can only be carried out by one person from beginning to end. Otherwise, the weak remnant soul will dissipate because of the incompatibility of the divine essence. "You said to let you do it, then let me see your strength and value. You can't stop, you can't be seriously injured, you can't collapse, you can't die before the remnant soul is nourished. Can you do it? If the final result is you abandoning her again, then it's better to let go from the beginning." As soon as the voice fell, there was a bang. The enchantment set up by Min Wei shattered, and the man with bloodshot eyes slowly stood up. His expression was indifferent, and his whole body emitted a powerful and intimidating pressure. His left hand tightly grasped the blood vein bell, but he didn't dare to use too much force as if he was afraid of breaking it. Jun Shidun looked at Mu Yan and said in a low, hoarse voice, "I, Jun Shidun, swear to the devil god that I will never let go again in this life, and I will not die before Yanqin's soul nourishes her consciousness." Mu Yan lowered her eyes and tears stained her long eyelashes. The sound of the zither reverberated in the room became more and more melancholy, like a woman singing in a low voice. "Ning Yanqin, did you hear that? This man still loves you. At least you don't regret meeting, don't regret falling in love, it's worth it. You don't have to forgive him. But at least give him a chance to compensate you, okay? Maybe from now on you will never see each other again. Maybe you still have a trace of fate that hasn't been cut off. But at least come back to life. Your life is so short, so miserable, how can that little sweetness and peace be enough? I want you to come back to life, to live a long and happy life that should belong to you. The zither sound was melodious with a bit of lightness and hope. It was like a bird that broke through the shackles of darkness, and could finally fly into the vast blue sky. Mu Yen heard her own low voice. Okay, I'll wait and see. In the side room of the City Lord Manor, Yu Ying and Night Spirit had been looking at each other for a few hours. The two of them opened their mouths to say something then closed them again. In the end it was Yu Ying who broke the silence. You already knew that little Qinshan was a girl? Night Spirit nodded. When I brought her back from the Demon Cloud Ridge she was already a woman. She talked about how Mu Yen wanted to test the attributes of her magic core, but the magic core crystal exploded, and how she wanted to go to a higher level city to test the grade of her magic core, so she signed up for the betrothal election. Yu Ying was dumbfounded by what she heard. Wait, the princess's reason for participating in the betrothal contest was actually that simple? Just to test the magic core's grade. Wait, shouldn't the main point be that for this reason, little Qinshan actually overcame all obstacles and became one of the final 4 candidates for the princess son-in-law? I heard that little Qinshan used to be a spirit cultivator and has never practiced the techniques of the demon race. In the end, the elites of the devil race were beaten to the ground just like that. Yu Ying could imagine how shocked and dumbfounded all the demons in the immortal slaying city were. Chapter 4198. Night Spirit sighed with a dreamy expression. I only knew that Liang Qin has a scumbag father who is a fiend raised by heaven. However, I never expected that this scumbag father would actually be. It was the demon lord. But she, Night Spirit, had actually picked up the noble princess. Suddenly there was a knock on the door. Night Spirit opened the door in a daze and saw a handsome young man standing outside. His hand trembled and he almost slammed the door shut. Liang Qin no eunuch. Princess, why are you here? Mu Yen gave her a puzzled look. Why did you suddenly stutter? As she walked into the room she picked up a cup of tea and took a sip. He then said, I plan to go to the Demon Imperial City. What do you two think? Do you want to come with me to the Demon Imperial Palace, or do you want to extort a large sum of money and go back home? Night Spirit, Yu Ying, both of them gulped at the same time. Yu Ying cautiously said, Little Qin Ah Pui. Your Royal Highness, you said to extort a large sum of money. Extort? Who should I extort a large sum of money from? Mu Yen glances at her. Do you still need to ask? Whoever is the biggest boss will be the one to extort a sum of money. So, little Qinshan wanted them to extort money from the demon venerable. The two of them felt their vision go black and they almost fainted. Seeing the two of them like this, Mu Yen couldn't help but laugh. You don't have to feel embarrassed, you've helped me a lot along the way, it's only right for me to repay you. As for the demon sovereign, he owes me something. I don't have anything in particular that I want from the demon palace. Alright, I've already spoken to Elder Minwei about this, and he said that you can have as many treasures as you want below the Saint artifact grade. The Saint level treasures at will. Yu Ying and Night Spirit clutched their chests and nearly fainted. Especially Night Spirit, she had never left Blood Flame City before. But now he had seen the demon lord with his own eyes, and he had even shared a bed with the princess. Demon God above. Was this the feeling of hugging someone's thigh? She still felt like she was in a dream. In the end, both Night Spirit and Yu Ying chose to follow Mu Yen to the demon palace. Yu Ying's cultivation was not low and she also held a position in the Devil Imperial City. However, she had never been to the demon palace, which was the highest place in the world. As for Night Spirit, it was needless to say. Mayan smiles and says, then let's set off tonight. I've already sent people to tidy up the things in the inn. As he spoke, he heard a loud noise coming from outside. Then there was a faint shout of excitement. I won. Haha, so I should be the one to report to Her Royal Highness. All of you get up. No one is allowed to fight with me. Then there was a series of hurried knocks on the door. Mu Yen said, come in, and saw a little demon guard in his early 20s rushing in excitedly. But when he's a few meters away from Mayan, he promptly stops. However, his eyes were nervously and excitedly looking at her, his face full of admiration. Mayan coughs lightly. What's the matter? There's something. Oh yes, there's something. Your Royal Highness, there is an old man waiting outside the inn where you stayed. He wants to see you. Old man. Chapter 4199. In fact, after the demon lord performed a public recognition ceremony on the slaughtering immortal square, the inn where Mu Yen originally lived was simply overcrowded by the demons. One by one they all shouted that they wanted to see the princess and demon King Yi. A dirty old man ran over and said that he wanted to see Mu Yen. At first these demon guards were too lazy to pay attention to him. But they didn't know what kind of magic this old man had. A pair of dark eyes looked at them for a long time, as if their souls were caught, and they were unknowingly led to the city lord's mansion. But at this time, after the little demon guard came back to his senses, he was a little scared. If this old man was a spy sent by a cunning human spirit cultivator, wouldn't he harm the princess? He quickly said, "Princess, you are so noble and great, how can you see a dirty beggar? We were the ones who lost our minds. I'll chase them away right now." "Wait a minute." Mu Yen opened her mouth to stop him. "What did he ask you to bring me to see?" Hearing this, the little demon guard quickly took out a small chinkuan bag from his bosom and gave it to Mu Yen. This chinkuan bag was shabby and couldn't hold many things. Moreover, its surface was stained with oil. Most importantly, there wasn't even a mabe in the bag. The little demon guard was now more and more regretful. He felt that he was really out of his mind to promise the old man to bring this broken thing to the princess. Seeing this chinkuan bag, Mu Yen couldn't help but raise her eyebrows. So it's him. This chinkuan bag was given to the old man who helped her test the level of her magic nucleus in Cloud City. Mu Yen always felt that the old man was hiding a lot of secrets. He was able to see through her hidden strength, disguised as a man, and even guessed that her magic core grade test would explode her magic core crystal. At that time she felt that the old man must not be simple. But the old man obviously didn't want to talk to her, and Mu Yen wasn't a person who would get to the bottom of things, so he left after leaving enough compensation and remuneration. She didn't expect that the old man would come to her today. Was it because he knew that she was Jun Shitian's daughter? Mu Yen thought for a moment and said, "Bring him in." Thinking of the old man's stench, she coughed lightly and said, "Have someone take him to take a bath first." "Yes, Your Highness." In the main hall of the city lord's mansion, Min Wei glanced at Jun Shitian from time to time. Lord Demon Honor's expression had returned to normal. It was as if he had never lost his composure before. But there was a red rope around his neck. There is a bell hanging from the red string which is tightly attached to Jun Shitian's chest. With the slightest movement of the body, there will be a jingling sound. Min Wei coughed lightly and said, "Demon Lord, I've already passed down your instructions." No one in the immortal slaying city who knew about the princess's identity would dare to spread the news. But cough cough, this matter cannot be wrapped up in paper. Sooner or later, everyone will know the princess's identity. Jun Shitian's eyelids drooped, his voice heavy. "She is not willing to acknowledge me." Even if he didn't ask, he knew that Mu Yen wouldn't hate him anymore and let him take care of the blood vein bell. According to Jun Shitian, he wished for the whole world to know that Mu Yen is his daughter. But he also knew that at least for a short period of time, Mu Yen would not recognize him as her father. Therefore, even though he was unwilling, he still ordered the people of the immortal slaying city not to talk about Yi Liangchen's identity. Min Wei naturally knew what Jun Shitian was thinking. Therefore the order was passed down a little bit. Chapter 4200. However, even if the order is passed down, can it quell the discussion? It's obviously impossible. What kind of person is Her Royal Highness? Even if she is unknown, coming from a remote corner like Blood Flame City, she can still set off monstrous waves in the hidden abyss, attracting the worship of countless demons. There were even many devils who had offered their devil souls as early as in Blood Flame City and Crimson Star City, vowing allegiance to them. Thinking of this, Elder Min Wei smiles with incomparable satisfaction and pride. Truly worthy of being their Royal Highness. This heaven-defying strength and talent, bloodthirsty physique, simply surpasses the demon lord of the past. Thinking of this, Min Wei can't help but praise. Jun Shitian's gloomy expression is indeed a lot better. Is Yanyan's palace ready? Min Wei strokes his beard. It's already prepared. I have ordered people to clean and arrange. It should satisfy Her Royal Highness. There are also a few sets of princess dress, enchanting, pure, charming, valiant. There are all kinds. There must be one that princess will like. As he speaks, Min Wei's expression stiffens, slightly opens his mouth, unable to speak for a long time. Jun Shitian asks, "What's going on?" Cough. Min Wei cautiously says, "Demon Lord, we arranged the heavenly enchantment banquet and the groom selection. Princess won't like it, right?" Before seeing Mu Yen, Jun Shitian's memory has not been restored. And Min Wei, Tianhe and the others have been silently thinking that after Her Royal Highness is found, she will happily acknowledge her father. After all, who doesn't want the world's #1 expert, the one and only king under the hidden abyss, to be her father? But dreams are beautiful, reality is cruel. The moment Jun Shitian saw the blood vein bell, he recovered his memory. Only then did he realize how much he owes Ning Yanxin and Mu Yan. Moreover, Her Royal Highness is too strong. She doesn't need to acknowledge her father. She can already set off a craze of admirers in the demon race. Moreover, Her Royal Highness and Polar Domain's Emperor are obviously in love. After all, they already have children. Thinking of the heavenly enchantment banquet, matchmaking banquet, that Demon Lord arbitrarily arranged, Min Wei can't help but want to cry in sympathy. He feels that Demon Lord has a long way to go to acknowledge his daughter. Jun Shitian's expression stiffened. Ahem, I'm afraid that all of the young elites from the great clans and sects who are participating in the heavenly enchantment banquet have already left for the hidden abyss. Demon Lord, should we announce that the heavenly enchantment banquet is cancelled? Jun Shitian said without hesitation. No. His gaze is gloomy. He grits his teeth and says, "If Yanyan doesn't like it, then send them all away. But Ben Zun will never allow that brat Di Mingju to easily abduct my daughter. That's why you're holding the heavenly enchantment banquet, to let Her Highness watch the heroes you've chosen get beaten up by the Polar Domain's sovereign emperor, so as to increase his position in Her Highness' heart?" Min Wei looked at his demon lord with a complicated expression. He felt that his demon lord's IQ had plummeted when it came to the matter of recognizing his daughter. It was almost hopeless. Min Wei coughed lightly again. Then this subordinate will return to the Demon Emperor Palace to arrange matters related to the heavenly enchantment banquet. As he walked out of the room, Min Wei bumped into 2 demon guards and an old man. Min Wei subconsciously glanced over. When he met the old man's gaze, his heart skipped a beat. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.